In this very room is quite enough love for one like me. In this very room is quite enough joy for one like me. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For spirit, one spirit is in this very room. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all of us. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all of us. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For spirit, one spirit is in this very room. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. In this very room, quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For spirit, one spirit is in this very room. In this very
That's a very special song to me. The first time I heard it was in an odd place. It was when I was singing with the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, and we did an arrangement of it. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our guest speaker for today. Reverend Dr. Patricia Keel, I can't read my own writing, was a licensed Unity teacher at one point and was founding minister of Unity Berkeley. She travels frequently to India, and we may hear about some of that today, I understand. And she is part-time at the Unity Santa Rosa congregation. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Patricia to our podium, and we look forward to what you have to say.
Yeah, that feels much better to me than standing back there. Yeah.
It's a cello stand. It's as high as it goes.
Is it? Oh, well. Let's see how my eyes work on all this. So fabulous to be with all of you. I'm going to drink first and put this down. Drink first. So great to see everyone today. How are you all feeling?
We're good.
It's great to have unity, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Terry. It's really wonderful to be here with you. Thank you. A few of my friends that are San Francisco people came, and it's great to see you. Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you, Michael. Wow, music is so important. Just lifts us up, doesn't it? So I am, I'm always curious about things. Oh, I have a mic. Am I not on? Oh, I forgot to turn my mic on.
And also you might need to just fix it.
Now I'm going to be really loud. Turn me down because this is.
Yeah, it'll work.
Am I okay? People are giving me signs.
She'll be fine. She'll be fine.
Okay. Apparently I have a really loud voice, or this is a very tuned in building.
Oh, it's tuned in, trust me.
Holy moly.
But we need one mic for the Zoom people.
Phew, okay, be here now. So I'm always curious about things that are told to me that I should be doing, and why am I doing it? And especially when we're part of Unity Community, we understand how much we love the teachings of Jesus. We love to read the Bible, but we know it's about our own journey. It's not some sort of literal thing for us to read. And so I've always been really fascinated by things like Lent and preparing for Christmas. And I wanted to really explore Lent a little bit more this year than I have in the past. I've taught classes on Lent. There's a wonderful book, and you can see this book is a really oldie but goodie. Belonged to my friend Krista. And it's called Keep a True Lent, which is the title of my talk. I don't know, is anybody maybe reading Keep a True Lent now? There you go, Regina's on it. So the interesting thing about this, I kind of went back to the book. The interesting thing about this is like a primer for Unity teachings. This book has Unity's 12 powers in it. It has lessons on all the basic teachings of Unity. It's kind of like, for those of you who might know the book Lessons in Truth, sort of a basic understanding of what Unity understands to be basic spiritual principles about our life, about what we're doing in this lifetime. So I thought it was really important to understand a little bit more about Lent. And what I discovered was they made it up. The church made Lent up. And there's nothing in the New Testament that talks about Lent. They made up the idea of Lent for us. And so I thought, well, if they made it up, they being the church, not Unity. But I thought, well, if they made it up, I could actually make up my own idea about it, too. So anyway, that's kind of what I've decided to do with Lent. So Lent, essentially, if you look at what Lent is, it's 40 weekdays and 6 Sundays, moving up to Easter, which is the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus coming back. And so during these 40 days, mainly what they used to tell me in Sunday school, and I went to the Congregational Church in Winnetka, Illinois, and that we were supposed to give something up. Anybody else have the give it up thing? Yes, give it up. So you had to give up something that you didn't want to give up, right? It wasn't something, you couldn't give up something that you really didn't care about. It had to be, right? I mean, you could, but then you're sort of cheating. So you know inside yourself that this is not the right thing to do. So Unity understands this kind of giving up thing in a very different way. We think about it as giving up ideas that we have that we're carrying around that no longer serve us. That fasting is not fasting necessarily from chocolate, or not drinking wine with dinner. After dinner, okay, but not, So in Unity, we think it's about look inside our consciousness and, what is it that's not really working for us right now? So I was really thinking about this, and a couple weeks ago, I was at the hospital with my daughter. My daughter she's 41, she's really healthy, but she had to do like a procedure. And so I was there, and I went in the recovery room with her. And it totally brought me back. When my daughter was 13, and at the time I was a single mom, I had a son a little bit older, but she was not doing really well, and I took her to the doctor. And I remember leaving the pediatrician office, and they did a bunch of tests. They sent me to the pharmacy and gave me antibiotics. And I thought, oh, she's, got some sort of infection. Anyway, the next morning they called me up and they said, so sorry, your daughter has cancer. Well, not prepared, to say the least, for that, because I had expected it was something else. But, I was thinking about how that is in our life. And that night, we went into the hospital. They did a lot of tests for her. And that night, I got to lie in the hospital bed next to her. And I remember it was really dark. And one of the things they do in the hospital is they put a little thing on your finger. And in those days, it had a little red light on it. It was just this little red light. And so I was lying in the bed next to my 13-year-old daughter, not knowing what it was, really what kind of cancer it was. And all I could see was this little red light, this little finger that was showing me my daughter was okay. And I remember at the time I thought, I'm losing it. I was a licensed Unity teacher in Marin, and I didn't know how to cope. I was in that really deep place of fear in my life. I also was working for Unity of Palo Alto and doing a sabbatical program for the minister there, and it was called Healing, Myth, Magic, and Miracle. And I'm like, holy moly, why? Why not me? Why is this? Why am I dealing with this with my beautiful 13-year-old daughter? So I thought, I need some help here. So I called my minister, I called Richard, and I just told him, I'm just like really beside myself on all this. And he said, well, if you can't hold your faith right now, let me hold it for you. Borrow my faith, because I know the truth of being, of the light that's in your daughter, the health and vitality that's in your daughter. No matter what the diagnosis is, we know that she's a child of God, and health is her divine nature. Just like Myrtle Fillmore, speaking to her body. And it was such a relief to me to have that partner in believing, that partner in faith, to know that, yes, that's the truth of my being. And a couple weeks ago, I was thinking about this and then preparing and looking at Lent and trying to go, so maybe what Lent is Lent is a preparation for all of us. It's a preparation for all of us to go through whatever it is we go through in our own life. In the same way, this experience for Jesus, the experience for Jesus that happened, think about it. He's working with his disciples all the time. He's, who ye of little faith, think about yourself, but Jesus is trying to lift them up all the time, help them to understand the truth of who they are, the I am presence of who they are, the divine nature that indwells each one of them. He's working on that all the time. And so many times, like Peter, we're stinking thinking, we fall in the water. So many times we don't believe, we have to get pulled out over and over again. And during this week that we call, Holy Week, but Lent preparing up to it, think of the things that happened to Jesus. He was totally betrayed by all of the people who supposedly were his posse, right? Even those who knew that he wasn't guilty, they're calling him guilty, and he's crucified, put in a tomb, and then there is the resurrection. And I was thinking about how this Lenten season that we have is, in a way, a preparation for all of us, not just in this time of this holy season moving to Easter, but something for all of us to deal with all the time in our life. We have to be willing to anchor ourselves in the faith and the power and the presence of the divine within. And this preparation during the time of Lent right now is a reminder for us that this is something that we're called to do throughout our lives. Think about, it's interesting because so many different teachers will talk to us about the light and the fact that during this time of wounding is when the light comes through. There's a quote from Rumi, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." It's during these times, and we are living in wounded times. Yes, we are living in wounded times. And we are being called through these times when things are falling apart. It feels like chaos. There's massive conflict in the world. We're being called to be and to know that the light is always present. I'd love this quote from Meister Eckhart. Meister Eckhart says, "Truly it is in the darkness that one finds the light. So when we are in sorrow, when we are in sadness, then this light is nearest to us all." And, you know, yesterday I went to a key leader event for Unity churches, and there were probably maybe 20 churches represented in the region, Northern California region. And one of the things that was being really talked about and acknowledged was the kind of grief that many members of churches, ministers are experiencing since we went through the pandemic. The changes that happened in the outer that caused people to literally have to close down their sanctuaries, where we all ended up being at home, being on Zoom, and the isolation that we felt as individuals. And part of what they were saying is these changes, we might think that we've changed back. We have the add-on of Zoom, and hello, Zoomers. I guess you're over there. The camera's up there. We have this, but there's something that is still hasn't come back to a place of grounding in terms of our inner transition. So what was being really reflected in this meeting for all of us was how much healing is needed for all of us. That we're living in a wounded world in the outer, and we could see it, and we might say, oh, you know, but here we are sitting here in San Francisco in this beautiful facility, you know, and we feel okay, but there's an inner wound that hasn't totally been healed. And this is where I think the Unity teachings are so important for us. And we can see this season of Lent right now as a time of preparation. But what I want to call you to really know is that we're always in this time of preparation in our life, because we never know, do we? We never know what's going to happen next. 3 months ago, I was driving home from church, and I was in a car crash. Totaled my car, couldn't walk straight for, you know, I was like the drunken lady walking down the street for about 2.5 months. That was a totally unknown experience. And I have to say, I had a lot of trouble. Again, it was kind of like being on the bed next to my daughter. It was one of those moments like, wow, you know, how do I deal with this? How do I re-anchor myself into the truth of my being, even, you know, when I can't quite walk straight and my mind isn't able to put sentences quite together? This is part of our life. This happens. We go in these ebbs and flows. And yet this preparation that we can do, this anchoring into our faith, is such an important thing for us to be aware of. And there are a couple of teachers that I love. Jerry mentioned that I've been to India. I've been to India a lot of times and taken groups, and I always go to a place called Oneness. It's a oneness place is where I go, and there's some friends here who've gone there and know about this. But this idea that we have an anchor within ourselves that not only is about the thoughts that we think, but it literally shifts the vibration within our head. And there's some really interesting Unity New Thought teachers that talk very specifically about this. And the reason I want to kind of anchor this in this idea of our preparation, being ready for whatever, the rebirth that's going to happen, because spring is, isn't it? Lent is about that. Lent, the word Lent even, is relating to spring and kind of the lengthening of the hours. So we have this capacity to kind of expand ourselves, to grow into a new life, just like the resurrection of Jesus. The rebirth, it's part of all spiritual traditions, isn't it? The death and rebirth. There is this awareness that we have, a consciousness of being. Can you tune into that for a minute? Like, just close your eyes for a minute. And just tune inside yourself to be aware of the consciousness of being. Take a deep breath now, consciously breathing in and out, relaxing the body. Bring your attention now up into the area between your eyebrows as you breathe in and breathe out. I'm aware of the consciousness of being. I'm aware of the consciousness of being. I'm aware of the consciousness of being. You know, Jesus, you can open your eyes when you're ready. Jesus was a master at going to the mountaintop, wasn't he? Things would be happening down here. And what did he do? He went apart. He would go up to the mountaintop. And this is what we're being called into in this time of preparation, this time of being ready for whatever, being ready to do what is ours to do in the world. We're being called to move into a consciousness of being, of who we are, of the I am of who you are. The presence and the power of God, the presence and the power of the divine, the presence and the power of the higher nature of who we are. And you know, Jesus said we can't put old wine in new wineskins. Remember that saying? Old wine in new wineskins. You try to patch them up, the wine's going to start leaking out. I was thinking it's like I can't put my new body in my old jeans, which is really sad. And I should get rid of them, but I haven't. So, but the idea here is that we need to be able to, and we need to be prepared to move into a different state of consciousness, a higher, I'm calling it higher, it could be over here in some people. It could be that it's on the floor for you. I'm just saying higher because it's a different state of consciousness than the consciousness that we have when we're walking around. For me, than the consciousness that I would have if I were trying to read. It's a different state of consciousness. And this is the state that Charles Fillmore talked about when he talked about we have faith. You have faith. You always have faith, right? It's not like I have a book or I don't have a book. It's like, where are you putting your faith, right? It's that awareness of being. Are you putting your faith in the awareness of being that you are a divine child of the presence? Are you putting your awareness of being in the presence of God? Or are you putting it in the absence? Are you putting your awareness and your consciousness of being up on that mountaintop where, you know, I live near Mount Tam, up on the top of that mountain. When you go up to the top of that mountain, your view is forever. You have a viewing point that is 360 degrees and you can begin to see patterns. When you're down here, you've got a point of view and it's very narrow. And this is what we're being called to when we prepare ourselves by beginning to move into these higher states of consciousness, when we put aside the old wineskin, trying to patch the way it was in the past, and move into another level of understanding the truth of who we are. Faith is the perceiving power of the mind. It's what we perceive, and we perceive it from this high level of consciousness. So where is it in your life right now? Maybe you're going through, you know, maybe it's not a betrayal, maybe it's some sort of trying to come back after COVID in your job. I heard somebody was talking about getting a new job. We're releasing the old and we're moving into the new, and maybe we're in the hallway for a while, but it's in the hallway that preparation happens for us, that we move into an awareness of the truth of who we are. There's a writer that I love. His name is Neville. And Goddard Neville, I think that might be his first name. He talks a lot about this consciousness of being. And he uses this idea that we move into a place he calls floating. This time when we can let go of what's going on in the outer, whatever the problem might be, the situation might be, even the problems in the world that we can become attached to. We let go of that and we literally move into this awareness of the consciousness of being, the oneness that we are, that we're connected all the time to. And that we move into a place that he calls floating, that you literally begin to feel the possibilities all around you. And from that place, the things that you've been attached to, concerns in your life, you lose attachment to them. New ideas start to form. New neural networks start to form. So I'd like to do with you a little exercise that actually, it was a practice that they taught us in India. And it's a very beautiful thing because when we are in a place of concern, worry, there can be this kind of attachment energy that our thoughts grab onto, and we try to figure out how to solve problems. Anybody like that with me? You know, and you might be trying to figure out all the ways that you're going to manage some situation or something in your life. And it can be a very conflicted kind of pattern that happens in consciousness. There's like monkey mind going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. But we can also move into a very, very calm, peaceful place. In India, they talk about there's two states. There's a stressful state, or there's this non-stressful state. And this idea of floating is to move into this non-stressful state where all things are possible. We're not limited by what's down in the lower concerns that the mind has. We're not grabbing onto anything. We're in a place where the mind is calm. The mind is peaceful. So would you like to try a little exercise with that? Cool. Okay. This is such a very cool exercise. It's actually called the Serene Mind Practice. And if you can breathe through your nose, great. If you've got a stuffy nose and it doesn't work, you can do the mouth thing too. But what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 very conscious breaths, breathing in and out through the nose. And when I say conscious, I mean you're just going to be noticing where the breath is moving in and out. And then what you're going to be doing, I'm just going to tell you, then I'll lead you through it. You're going to become aware of some challenge in your life, some feeling that's popping up for you, and just take a moment to be with that. And then I'm going to guide you, and you're going to be moving your attention right between your eyebrow for a little bit. You'll see a flame there. And after a short time, I'm going to invite you to bring that flame back into the center of your head. And what that's going to do is going to bring your attention to a place inside your brain where pituitary, hypothalamus, and hippocampus connect. It's a place called the Brahma Garbha. It's where new neural networks begin to be formed. And so you're not putting anything in there. You're just going to be there for a little while. You're going to float. It's going to be in a place of floating right there. And then we'll come back, bless you. We'll come back and just be together. So invite you to close your eyes. And just relax in your body. If you're holding on to anything, you might want to just put it aside. And sitting up straight and comfortably straight in your chair, I invite you to take 3 conscious breaths, breathing in through the nose, and slowly, slowly exhaling. And again, another deep and conscious breath. And exhaling. And a third. Inhaling deeply. And slowly exhale. And now become aware of whatever's going on in consciousness. Could be that your mind is hooked into something that happened in the past, and you're chewing on that, trying to bring it forward, solve a problem, be somewhere else. Could be that you are right here, very present right here, wonderfully present. Or it could be that your mind is already taking you out into the future, that you have some concern or worry that's happening, or you're thinking about tomorrow. Just become aware, no judgment, what's going on right now in your thinking. Just see it and notice how you're feeling about whatever that is. No judgment. Just notice the feeling. And now bring your attention to that space between your eyebrows and imagine or see, if you have that capacity, or feel a tiny little flame just floating there in between your eyebrows. And focus on that flame for a moment, seeing it, feeling it, or just knowing it's there. And now gently imagine drawing that flame right back into the center of your skull. Just see it, feel it, know that it's a flame sitting in the center of your skull. And taking a nice deep and conscious breath, release any focus of attention. And when you're ready, you could gently come back and open your eyes. So you are the light of the world. The light is ever present in you. And as Jesus said, you're the light of the world, and a city that's set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men hide a lamp. They put it underneath a bushel, but they put it on a stand so it shines all throughout the house. Even so, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify the divine presence that indwells you in the living Spirit of truth. Gently invite you, if you haven't already, to open your eyes. I see some of you just went out with us, which was nice. So I'm curious, what was people's experience? What was your experience of that? Yes.
Yeah, I was able to just be in the moment. I wasn't just able to, I did see that, what we call a flame, but more a mandala, and I was able just to
Great.
share with it.
Yeah.
Truly remarkable.
Anyone else willing to share? Was there any floating? Did anybody float with me? Regina.
I felt like something it's been bothering me a little bit of how to handle it. I felt like I can handle this
Yeah. Yeah.
without
It's
stress.
just a really simple, very quick thing to do. Anyone else willing to share? No? Yeah, Diana?
I was going to say that often when you start any meditation and then we'll be there, it's kind of like floating's already there. Then
Yeah.
I was asked to recall something that was a problem and I couldn't think of anything. And
Yeah.
I was really find something, so I found something that I was able to
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
process and
Yeah.
like everyone else was
Yeah.
saying,
It's
it's floating there.
we have this capacity to be in this field of all possibility in just, a twinkling of an eye. It's the nature of who we are. It's our I am presence. It's the light that we are. But we forget because we get so caught up in, and this is the preparation I feel that we all need to do every day. This is what we're called to do during Lent. It's giving up that attachment to the lower energies and to really take ourselves into a place. 3 minutes. How long did we do that? 3 minutes. We're not saying that you have to meditate for 30 minutes, but it's part of the call. Anyway, thank you. It's great to be with all of you. I've enjoyed it, and hopefully you'll have a little more sense of what we're preparing for now and always. Thank you.
thank you so much. That was a memorable and very useful lesson today. Thank you. I know it's going to affect me. Thank you. Here at Unity Spiritual Center, we are an ocean of love. Here at Unity Spiritual Center, we have an inspiring vision, an exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live. Each week we will join together in saying one of our statements. So please join with me in saying this week's statement, which is on the screen. Our values are, we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling so inspired by our vision, our mission, our values, and feeling so enriched by what we've experienced here today, let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. As Michael shares another song, you are invited to support this congregation with a check made out to USC, or by cash, or by making a donation online. If you are here in the sanctuary, our usher will come forward to take your offering. Practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, we are pleased to tithe 10% of the offering collected every Sunday to various Unity organizations and local nonprofits serving our city. So let us take a moment now to bless our tithe and love offerings as we cup them in our hands or hold them next to our hearts. Let us say our offering blessing, which is on your screen. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
So if you have any percussive skills, and I already see one gentleman coming up here, and he's got the percussive walk. There's someone else here it's an old friend of mine, but we're both old now. And, come on, Jeff. There's a kunga. Come on. All right, we'll bring it to you. If the minister can do it, oh my God, he's a kabasa player. Okay, all right. Since Kathy's doing the, I can't trust her because she's busy. All right, here we go. Because we're just gonna have some fun with this. And we got some extra new verses, which is very cool. And guess what? This is also cool because we can put extra emphasis on the song because there's no children's church today because they're in here, which means we're not gonna sing it again. No. This is our one shot, okay? This is our one shot. All right, so the groove sounds like this because it changes every week, as these people well know. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I said everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Well, in my neighbor's home, I'm gonna let it shine. In my neighbor's home, I'm gonna let it shine. In my neighbor's home, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Check this verse out. Nobody's gonna blow it out. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Nobody's gonna blow it out. No, light on mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.